I'm probably gonna make a video that's about to give you a stroke. Yeah. But it is a video that I wish to make because I want to be real with you. I want to make this video because it reminds me of a conversation that I had with PRRD in 2023. This was the time when Sarah had just, threw her tantrum and called the speaker tabaloslos, and it, caused all of this. And I went to see him in Davao City, and that was actually our last face-to-face conversation. And in that conversation, I remember very clearly what he had left with me. It was a long conversation between me, and of course, Senator Bongo was present at that time. And that conversation, he reminded me of what my responsibility was, and that is to fight for the Filipino people. He also made clear during that conversation that I should not join any fight in politics because, number one, it was trivial, and because it is absolutely no use for me to be loyal to any political figure because, political figures, they come and go. He also reminded me at that time that I should be loyal to the Filipino people and the Philippines. That I should not be indebted to any political figure because at the end of the day, gamiton raman po di kuno ko. And since bright man kuno ko, kibalo kuno ko kung kanos ako gamiton og di. And I understood from that point on, that's why my anger, it was only reserved to support PRRD. Dili na ko siya idol, kaya di man siya artista. He's a public servant that I stood with, and I still do stand with him. That is why I am going to be honest with you. You can rally. You can be angry. We all should be. But let's be angry for the right reasons. Let's not use that anger to justify the political figures that we support. For those of you that suggest that, idol kay nako sa speaker, you could not have been more mistaken. Why? The speaker is not an artista. Although he's been created in your minds, for those of you who have been manipulated ever since 2023, that he is the biggest buaya, that he is the biggest enemy, that he is in fact tatambaloslos. And for years, I felt frustrated because the speaker just refuses to fight back. The speaker refuses to address this because, again, ingana man gud si speaker. Dili man gud siya petty. And so, karon, I want to talk to you because that's exactly the kind of person you're supporting. If in this rally that you're going to be joining with masks on, you're going to fight for a person who's supposedly going to replace the current president that we have. If that's your reason, then go ahead. Just to remind you that you're supposed to be fighting for the Filipino people. You're supposed to be mad at the corruption. But then again, if you are going to be manipulated to think that corruption is being done by the people, supposedly because Sarah says so, then you are mistaken. Because what Sarah says is not Bible. Where is your proof exactly that it's the speaker's fault? Or is it because Sarah said so? Sarah, who's not always here, and didn't even bother to show up for her budget hearing in Congress. And then again, it's the speaker's fault if none of her budget gets released. Ang saan pag-release ng budget pag di ka magpakita to do your job? So let me get this straight. You're going to a rally on the 21st. You're going to incite sedition, probably go to jail for 6 to 12 years, or pay a penalty of 400,000 for Sarah, who's never here. For Sarah, who doesn't know who you are, but you're so loving and loyal to her, and what is she gonna give you in return? She's gonna be president, and then what? Automatically, all of the problems will disappear? I'd like to remind the Kakampings that if this ever happens, then the Akbayan would be the very first to go. It will be replaced by the Duterte youth. That De Lima will go back to jail, and Bam and Kiko can kiss their careers goodbye. You think that won't happen? You think that they will not be vindictive? So we are going to replace our calm, collected president who who wants to stop this corruption with a vice president that throws tantrums more than she works. See, I told you it's gonna give you a heart attack because it's the truth. Because for every time the vice president throws a tantrum, we're supposed to look the other way. Because she is supposedly not subject to accountability. And that was what the impeachment proceedings were for her to be accountable for the things that she did so publicly that you all want us to pretend never happened. That you're of course going to make people who signed that feel bad because apparently, oh, it's something political. No. I didn't like Lenny. But from the way I see it, she was a much better president than Sarah will ever be, not even close. I will never be a kakamping, don't get me wrong. I remember fully how much you insulted me, but at this point, if we're just talking about being vice president, Lenny was better. Oh, not because I'm a traitor to the Dutertes. I've made very clear, this is nothing personal, it's just honesty. Because I would rather stay at home than go out and rally to make the president resign, to destabilize the government, and then what? Replace people who are allergic to accountability when PRRD himself is in the ICC because he wants to be accountable for the things his people did during his reign as president. The reason why PRRD is in the ICC is because he has always wanted to be accountable for the war on drugs. And that's why for me, because I love him and I support him, that's why I would much rather that he faces whatever he needs to face. But at the end of the day, if that's one of the reasons you're gonna go to a rally is because, oh, you want him to come home, that's also not gonna happen. Because the only people that can make him come home is the ICC. And how is that gonna happen if it's his defense team that is delaying the case there? See, I told you it's going to give you a stroke because you've been led to believe that it's the speaker who does all of the wrong things in this country when he isn't. And by all means, I'm not defending him. Again, akong balikon, dili na ko siya idol. I'm just really being straight with you. You go to a rally on the 21st or whenever that is, but make sure that you do it for the right reasons. That yes, you are mad at the corruption, but once your placard says President Marcos resign, automatically, nope, pass. And replace him with who? Lagi? Sarah? Pass. As volatile as that? Yeah, idol na ko siya. Nanumbag siya og sheriff thinking it was the right thing to do, but throwing a tantrum because you don't get what you want and lying for years and manipulating the Filipino people because of love and loyalty, lupig pa muni ka og tae. I'll pass. Because I would go and rally and want it to be peaceful because I want change. But I'm not going to leave my son at home to go out on the streets and rally and what? To be used? For my anger to be used to support a political family? No, not the Romualdeses, not the Dutertes, the Filipino people. But then again, aren't you the same type of people who want to protect the Discayas and make Vico Soto the enemy? Because you're the type of people that support a congressman who meows. A congressman who meows more than he works in Congress. So Mona, before you go to these rallies, think. Number one, make sure that you don't cause any trouble to endanger yourself because they're not going to help you once they're done using you. They're going to tell you, maka na mo pugsa nga magrally-rally ka bisan pag naputol na imong tiil. Believe me, I've been there. And I saved myself since 2022. I made clear I'm not going to be loyal to any political figure, although I pray for PRRD every single day. Just the same way that I pray that we know better. That we wake up from being manipulated because of our love and loyalty. Because that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Waking up. So yeah, go and do your rally. I wish you well. Do so peacefully. Wear tawas, drink water, but don't incite to sedition. Mora to. Ingat!